All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down the science of how to beat exam stress and, actually improve your grades. This isn't about brute force. Forget that. This is about learning to work with your brain, not against it.
But first, let me ask you something seriously. Would you ever, in a million years, walk into a final exam after a few drinks? I mean, of course not, right? That sounds completely insane. But what if I told you that one of the most common study habits out there is scientifically the exact same thing?
Yeah, look at the science here. It's wild. Multiple studies have shown that if you stay awake for just 17 to 19 hours straight, your brain's performance is just as impaired as someone with a blood alcohol level of 0.05%. In a lot of places, that's literally legally drunk. So that all-nighter you pulled, it's not a badge of honor. It's basically choosing to take your exam tipsy.
And this brings us right to the heart of the problem, what I call the all-nighter mistake. Let's really break down the real, measurable costs of powering through and why it's pretty much a form of scientific self-sabotage.
Still not convinced? Okay, let's talk numbers, because they don't lie. The research is crystal clear on this one. For every single hour of sleep you miss on average, your end-of-term GPA drops by about 0.07 points. Now that might not sound like a huge deal, but come on, think about it. If you're consistently losing just 2 hours of sleep a night, that can easily be the difference between a B+ and an A-. It adds up fast.
So why is this happening? Well, here's the crucial thing you have to understand. Sleep isn't wasted time. It's an incredibly active and totally critical part of learning. When you're asleep, your brain is working overtime. It's consolidating memories. It's like it's taking everything you just studied from a short-term inbox and carefully filing it away in your long-term hard drive. When you cut your sleep, you are literally hitting cancel on that transfer.
And the longer you stay awake, the worse it gets. It's not a flat line, it's a nosedive. After just one full day of being awake, your brain power drops by a quarter, a full 25%. Push that to 2 or 3 days and you're barely operating at half capacity. You might feel like you're powering through, but your brain is actually running on fumes. It's making it harder to learn, harder to problem solve, and way harder to remember anything when it really matters.
So, if the science is so obvious, why do we keep doing this to ourselves? Why do we procrastinate and then feel like we have to pull an all-nighter? Well, it turns out the answer has less to do with bad time management and way more to do with psychology. Let's look at the hidden fears that are really driving these habits. Deep down, at the very heart of procrastination, you'll often find a fear of failure. And look, this isn't just about hating to get a bad grade. It's about avoiding the feeling of being a failure. See, by putting things off to the last minute, you're actually creating a perfect excuse. If you do poorly, you can just blame it on not having enough time, right? Not on your own ability. It's a really clever self-protection trick that, unfortunately, always backfires.
And hey, this isn't just some theory. A 2024 study found a direct, measurable link between some very specific fears and procrastination. So what are we most afraid of? Well, the data shows the #1 culprit is a fear of an uncertain future. When you're stressed about the long game, about what all this leads to, it can totally paralyze you right now. And that creates this vicious cycle, The fear makes you procrastinate, which leads to a bad outcome, which just makes you even more afraid.
Okay, so how in the world do we break that cycle? Well, it doesn't start with a new planner or some fancy study app. It starts with a fundamental shift in your mindset. The real foundation for being resilient in your studies isn't just about trying harder. It's about changing your entire perspective on what learning even is.
And this is that core idea from Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck. On one hand, you've got the fixed mindset. This is the belief that you're born with a certain amount of intelligence and that's it. So every test becomes this huge judgment on you, which is why failure feels so awful. But on the other hand, there's the growth mindset. This is the belief that your intelligence is like a muscle. It can be developed. Suddenly, challenges aren't threats anymore, they're opportunities to get smarter. And effort isn't a sign that you're dumb, it's literally the path to getting better.
So for someone stuck in that fixed mindset, facing a really tough subject, or getting a bad grade, it just feels like hitting a brick wall. The immediate thought is just this: I can't do this. And it feels like a final verdict, a dead end.
But what if we just add one simple, tiny, transformative word to the end of that sentence? I can't do this yet. Seriously, that one word changes everything. It completely reframes the situation. It's not a permanent failure anymore. It's just a temporary state. It admits that, yeah, this is a struggle right now, but it implies a future where you can and will get it. That right there, that's the growth mindset in action.
So, once we've got that mindset shift as our foundation, now we can start building a toolkit of practical, high-performance strategies. And these aren't just random tips. These are methods backed by science, designed to work with your brain's natural way of learning. All right, first things first, let's bust a huge myth. We have all done this, rereading our notes over and over, highlighting half the textbook. It feels so productive, doesn't it? But the research shows it's one of the least effective ways to learn. The most effective method is actually the complete opposite, active retrieval. It's all about forcing your brain to pull information out of your memory, which, surprise, surprise, is exactly what you have to do on an exam.
This is also known as active recall. And here is the absolute key. It's supposed to feel hard. That feeling of struggle, when you're trying to remember a concept and it's right on the tip of your tongue, that's not a sign you're failing to learn. That's the feeling of your brain actually forging a stronger connection to that information. The effort is the point.
So how do you actually do this stuff? Well, you can use digital flashcards, that's a classic, or try the blurting method. Just grab a blank piece of paper and write down literally everything you can remember about a topic, then go back to your notes and fill in the blanks. My favorite, though, is to try and teach the concept out loud. If you can explain it simply to an imaginary person, you know you've got it.
Now you want to pair active recall with its best friend, spaced repetition. See, our brains naturally forget things over time. It's a real thing called the forgetting curve. Spaced repetition basically hacks this curve. It gets you to review information right at the moment you're about to forget it. So you might review something after 1 day, then 3 days, then a week. Each time, you're forcing your brain to rebuild that memory, and it makes it way stronger and more durable.
And finally, none of these amazing techniques will work if the hardware, your brain and your body, isn't running properly. These 3 pillars are not luxuries, they are essential for thinking at a high level. Sleep is completely non-negotiable for memory. Good food fuels your brain and prevents those awful sugar crashes. And even just a 20-minute walk can massively boost your focus and mood. Don't ever sacrifice the very things that keep your brain sharp.
So, when you put all of this together, what we're talking about is a complete shift. It's about going from being a stressed-out, reactive student to being a strategic, proactive one. It's about redefining what success even looks like, moving away from frantic, last-minute heroics and toward consistent, intelligent work. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? The whole goal isn't to somehow eliminate all stress from your life. That's impossible. A little bit of pressure can actually be good for you. The goal is to build a toolkit, both in your mind and with your habits, so that when that pressure does come, you know exactly what to do. You can channel it, you can manage it, and you can still perform at your absolute best.
So let's end on this thought. Your brain is an incredible learning machine. These strategies we've talked about, they aren't just clever tricks. They are all about aligning your effort with how your brain is actually built to work. So the only real question left is, are you ready to finally start working with it